strategy, and we're going to talk about everybody's strategy because there are some similarities or some consistencies and also some key differences. Yet the result has been remarkably the same, success. But your strategy at Ventas has been driven by acquisitions. You've been very successful in reading the tea leaves, making a bet on industry dynamics, and through terrific execution and integration, delivered results. Why has this approach worked versus, say, a development strategy for Ventas? And then also, is your approach going to be consistent or perhaps change over the next couple of years?
Okay, well, thanks for the question. I think that the key part of what you asked is really embedded in the words. We've had similar results, but we've done things very differently. And I think you have to play the hand that you're dealt in some respects. And so what we do as management, and I've heard a couple people say this over the last 24 hours, that it's not that hard. It actually is really hard, I would say. What management gets paid to do is really to look at the external environment, the macro, and then to look at his or her company, the internal, micro, company-specific environment, and then maximize those two things to create value for shareholders. Okay, essentially that is our job description. And so at Ventas, we have indeed completed 8 acquisitions in the last 8 years. In 2000, we had an equity cap of $100 million, and now our equity cap is $16 or $17 billion. And we've done that principally through acquisitions, as Guy mentioned. And so when we started this journey in 2000 and built our team, I mean, we had to look at the external environment. And what we saw at that time was a very fragmented, very large, $1 trillion healthcare and senior housing real estate market that was very fragmented and was growing. And that's a very good external environment. When you couple that with, for example, in contrast to malls, the public companies only own, say, 2 to 5% of that market. So it was under-owned by the public companies. The demand was there from demographics. The demand, obviously, is a very important part of the analysis. And the last piece of the external that was very interesting is that investors, analysts, didn't really appreciate the asset class. It wasn't in the indices. It really didn't get the respect that I thought it deserved from the fundamental underpinnings of very positive supply-demand fundamentals. And so all of that coupled together, for me to think the external environment is a good acquisition environment. We can really do some good things here given that external environment if we can persuade, for example, the indices to include healthcare real estate, if we can explain the risk-reward benefits of healthcare and senior housing real estate, and if those values could rise and cap rates compress onto ordinary real estate. And that's actually been one of the big stories of our success, is that the external environment has been very positive, and the institutional acceptance has really made cap rates compress. I think there's further to go, but basically healthcare and senior housing have become part of the major food groups in commercial real estate. So that external environment was very, very ripe, I think, for an acquisition strategy. And of course, if cap rates are compressing, you want to acquire as quickly as possible so you can gain the benefit of those compressing cap rates. The second issue was internal, and this was really very straightforward. This was not, we were not curing cancer here. It was simple. We had one tenant, we were in one asset class, it was all government reimbursed. So the strategy, of course, was get more tenants. We also had one capital source, the banks. Get more tenants, more capital sources, and diversify into private pay, real estate, senior housing, which is really like senior apartments. And so that strategy in the micro, again, was very promising in terms of developing an acquisition strategy versus, you know, internal redevelopment or some other strategies, external development that people pursue.